From the News Channel 5 Network, this is Sportsline.
Hey there, Titans Talk on your television. Steve Layman here with you. Glad you are here with us on this Monday night, coming off the bye week. But yet it was an eventful day yesterday in terms of what the whole picture of the rest of the season entails. And what we mean by that is this. The Ravens go down in Pittsburgh. So the Titans actually move back in front of Baltimore in the AFC pecking order right now. You've got 4 teams at 8-4. The Patriots, the Titans, the Ravens, and the Chiefs, who were able to beat Denver last night on Sunday Night Football. Those are your current 4 division leaders, and right now it's New England on top with the number 1 seed. The Titans would be number 2, although the Patriots are playing right now in Buffalo. And if New England wins, or I'm sorry, if New England loses to Buffalo, the Titans would move back to the top seed. Despite not playing this weekend, they'd move up 2 spots based off of that. If New England wins, then the Patriots stay as the number 1 seed and the Titans stay at number 2. But we also saw Indianapolis win again yesterday, beating the Texans 31-0 down in Houston. Jonathan Taylor, another monster day. And now the Colts are sitting there at 7-6. That's just a game and a half back of the Titans in the AFC South. So that race not over yet. Titans certainly have control. They're a game and a half up. They swept the Colts this season. So Indy has to pass the Titans in the standings. They can't tie them and win the division. Any tie, the Titans win the division. So the magic number for Tennessee is 3. Win 3 games and you automatically win the division. Or win 2 and get a loss, or win 1 and have Indy lose twice. Any combination of that will get the Titans to win the AFC South for the 2nd consecutive year. So Titans are in a good position, but there's a lot of work to be done here in the month of December. And the big thing that remains on the table for this team is the chance to get the home field advantage and that top seed into the playoffs. Because of all the injuries, it would be wonderful for this team to have an extra week, essentially another bye week at the end of the regular season, to rest up and get ready for what they hope is a long playoff run and a chance to win the Super Bowl. You'll want that bye. Certainly the Titans want that bye, given the way this season has played out for them. That would help them get Derrick Henry back. It would help them get a bunch of other guys back and get the Knicks and the Knacks to heal up. That's critical. That's something that they've got to be gunning for here in these final 5 games. You got 3 of them at home. You've got the lowly Jaguars, bookended with the lowly Texans. Of course, the Titans just lost to them 2 weeks ago. But those are games you have to take care of. And then you've got 2 other teams with losing records at home, the 49ers and the Dolphins, although the Dolphins are playing much better here down the stretch. Titans need to take care of business during this final month, and the big question in how they do that is who exactly is going to be back. Because we've talked a lot about that right here on this program. The last couple of weeks, the Titans did not look like the team leading the AFC or the team in 2nd place in the AFC. They didn't look anything like that team because of the injuries. The guys that were on the field are not the guys that made this team one of the contenders in the AFC. And so the question is, how many of the guys that made them a contender will be able to come back and help out? Today we got a little bit of the answer on that, at least coming directly off the bye. The Titans brought Julio Jones and Racey McMath at wide receiver and Dane Cruikshank in the secondary off of injured reserve in terms of being able to return to practice. That doesn't mean they definitely will play this weekend, though it's a decent indication. They can get back into practice this week. Hopefully everything goes well and they respond well. And come Sunday at noon against the Jaguars at Nissan Stadium, those guys can be back in the mix and on the field. How many other guys they can get back throughout the month and when exactly that's going to happen remains to be seen. When does A.J. Brown come back? We know Derrick Henry's not going to be until very late in the regular season, if at all. Maybe the playoffs, and maybe not at all this year. We'll see how that plays out. But it is not going to be here in the short term. But what about the other guys? What about A.J. Brown? What about Bud Dupree on defense? Those are going to be the interesting things to watch as we move forward, because right now the Titans are a better team than the Jaguars. Certainly the defense is better than anything you'll see from Jacksonville or better than the Jacksonville offense as well. But right now, the Titans offense still is not an elite offense. Now, very encouraging what they did up front with the offensive line running the ball in New England. But you still do not have weapons. It's Dontrell Hilliard and Deontay Foreman in the backfield, guys that nobody wanted at the beginning of this season. And we'll see if they get Julio Jones back on Sunday at wide receiver, but you're down A.J. Brown, you're down Marcus Johnson, you don't know the health of Julio Jones even if he comes back. So you're not dealing with a full deck when it comes to offensive football right now if you're the Titans. So they're going to have to figure out how to make do with that. The defense is probably going to have to carry the load again for the next couple of weeks. And then at some point, they have to turn the corner on these injuries and get some of these guys back. They need to get all those wide receivers back. They need to get fully healthy as much as humanly possible. And then maybe at some point you get Derrick Henry back, because here's the deal. If they don't turn the corner on these injuries, if this continues to be a thing, if Julio Jones continues to struggle with that hamstring here in December, if A.J. Brown struggles to come back from the chest injury he's on IR for right now, if Bud Dupree doesn't come back for that defensive side, this isn't the same team. This isn't the team that got off to an 8-2 start, and it's definitely not a team that can win the AFC. They should get to the playoffs. They should win the division based off of what's happened so far. But when you actually get there, that's what counts, right? You want to be able to win in January. You want the opportunity to maybe play in February and to win the whole thing out in L.A. But you have to be healthy to do that. And that's so often the case. It's healthy, good teams in the postseason. But the Titans aren't healthy right now. And that has to change at some point. Otherwise, I don't think they can be the team that they thought they were and the team that we look to be watching through the first 10 weeks of the season. We saw a different team the last couple of weeks. That has to change. Otherwise, I'm not sure if they're in that mix anymore. Your thoughts on that? Our phone lines are open tonight, 737-7767. How do you feel about where the Titans stand right now? How do you feel about their ability to bounce back from these two losses and get back on track this weekend? And then who's the guy you're looking for? And it can't be Derrick Henry, because we know that's not going to be coming soon. But who's the guy that you think is the absolute key that the Titans have to get back out of this mix? Is it A.J. Brown? Can Julio Jones essentially be that this weekend if he's 100%? Is it Bud Dupree adding into that pass rush again that hasn't quite been the same since the last time he played? Who's the guy that you're looking the most for to come back and help this Titans team out? 737-7767 is the number. We'll also hear some from Mike Vrabel, some other things, and kind of a cool talk I had with Kenny Vaccaro after he announced his retirement last week. Going into e-gaming, we'll get into that as well as we move along on the show tonight. We'll take our first break here. We'll come back. Your phone calls welcome. 737-7767. Lines are open, plus much more. This is Titans Talk on News Channel 5+.